Welcome back, Martin Odegaard. Wow. What a performance. And I know, look, he's been back. He played against Chelsea. He came on late against Inter. But this is like a comeback performance from Martin Odegaard. And wow. There were times where, honestly, the football from Odegaard was so silk, so beautiful, so effortless that I almost wanted to get off my sofa and just, hold on, I'm going to do it right now. Trying to stay in frame. Brilliant. You talk about pure footballer. I know some of you guys love that term. I know some of you guys absolutely hate it. But wow. He's the definition of a pure footballer. Everything that he attempts, everything that he does just looks so smooth. It looks so natural. He glides around the pitch. He's an absolute joy of a footballer to watch, even from a neutral point of view. But more importantly than just how he looks is how he impacts this team. And look, I have to say this, right? I've been a big critic of Arsenal this season because in his absence, they have looked a team absolutely devoid of ideas creatively. Arsenal, it almost appears, when Odegaard's not playing, have two ways of beating you. Either Saka cooks something out of absolutely nothing in terms of individual brilliance, which, to be fair, one of those goals today was exactly that, or they just swing in set pieces and swing in crosses and they beat you that way. That's honestly how they've played the last 2 months without Odegaard. But when he gets on the pitch, everything just seems to open up. Everything just seems a lot less tense and forced and metronomic from Arsenal. All of a sudden, you have the conductor of the orchestra back on the pitch, dictating the play, combining with others, flicking it where others would look to cross, playing people through where others look to maybe just go backwards. The inventiveness, the creativity, the vision, the bravery, the audacious swagger from Odegaard at times. I might sound like I'm glazing right now, but I genuinely believe that's the kind of football that Odegaard provides to this team. This was, for all extents and purposes, in my opinion, Arsenal's best performance of the season. Arsenal's best performance of the season was tonight. It's not the craziest opposition, although Nottingham Forest, to be fair, this year have been a massive shock, in my opinion, to most people. They were a team that I had even battling for relegation, but give them massive credit. They've upset the apple cart several times this season, even though, why wasn't Chris Wood playing tonight? I wasn't too sure about that one. But granted, it's not Inter, it's not Real Madrid, it's not Man City, it's not Liverpool, it's not Chelsea, it's Forest, right? But I thought that's the most convincing Arsenal have looked all season long. And I think it's testament and it's telling to the kind of impact that Odegaard has on this team, both as a captain, both as a leader, both as a presence, but also the technical quality that he kind of possesses and the respect that he demands when he gets on the ball. Teams operate against Arsenal completely differently when he's there. And I think there's a real argument to be had that although I believe Saka is the best player on this Arsenal team, at least going forward, I think you could definitely argue, and I think it's becoming inarguable, that is Odegaard maybe their most important player? Is he the guy that really makes everything tick, connecting the lines from defense to attack? On the basis of today and the last few weeks, maybe. You could definitely make the argument for Saliba. You can make the argument for Bukayo Saka. But I think Odegaard is right up there in those conversations. And again, not even just to make this the Odegaard show, even though really, I thought at large points this game, it was the Odegaard show. I thought he was just so influential for Arsenal today. The other guy, and I think it's becoming quite obvious that Arsenal really can only go, and it's not a bad thing, but they go as far as these two take them. Saka and Odegaard. One of the best 1-2 punches in world football at the moment. They are the offensive fulcrum for this Arsenal team. Again, they've shown today that, like I always talk about, what's that word? You guys probably know it by now. That word when it comes to Arsenal, when I speak about them, I almost always bring this word up. X factor. Who are the players that you can give the ball to and just let them get to work? Forget systems, forget style of play, forget tactics. Just players that you can give them the ball, let them get to work, and they'll create you moments of magic on their own. In my opinion, going forward, Arsenal have two of those players. They have Odegaard and they have Bukayo Saka. And Bukayo Saka with that opening goal today. I say this every time he scores these goals and people think I'm overreacting, but that's like a finish I became quite accustomed to from Gareth Bale. That's the type of goal that I became quite accustomed to from Arjen Robben. And although he's not to the same level as them in my opinion, in my personal view, he has that element of his game in him. Those kinds of goals Saka has started to add to his catalog quite often over the last few years. And today, it's one of the picks of the lot. It's one of the best that he's scored. Just cutting in, going to goal. No one can stop him. He's too strong. He's too fast. He's too tricky for all of them. And then the finish, the strike is so vicious, so unstoppable to give Arsenal the lead. It's the Bukayo Saka and it's the Odegaard team. They go as far as those two take them. And over the last 2 years, they've brought them pretty far. They've taken them on the cusp 2 separate times. However, has Odegaard missed so much time, so much so that is it too little too late for Arsenal? I don't want to say that because it's still November and they still have so much to play for this year. But I do think they are on the outside looking in. They are no longer now the team setting the tempo in the league like they maybe would have hoped to at the start of the year. They are now one of the chasers. But I actually think that it suits Arsenal better. I almost think this Arsenal team is better equipped. They almost seem to relish it more when the pressure isn't on them to kind of set the standard. And I know they did that a few years ago when they had 50 points after 19 games. But look at how that ended up. And I know last year, to be fair, they were the chasers for most of the year and they didn't win it. But I think this Arsenal team, when there is less expectation for them to kind of be like setting the tone every week for the rest of the league to follow, I don't think they play as freely. I don't think they play as well as when they kind of have little less pressure on them. Fans maybe aren't going into games now thinking, oh, we have to win this game, otherwise City are going to catch up to us. It's like, okay, if we win, we're back in it. If not, well, I don't really have much hope to begin with. I almost feel at times Arsenal kind of relish that kind of environment. They almost kind of relish that sort of mindset. And for the next few weeks, when you look at their fixtures, most notably West Ham away, United at home, Fulham away, Everton at home, Crystal Palace away. If I look even further past that, Brentford away, Brighton away, Spurs at home. Like the fixture lists are, it's not the worst. It's not the worst ever, right? I almost feel like that's where you see it. You end up seeing a better version of Arsenal. But I look at the side that they put out today. It was a side heavy on rotation. Declan Rice rested, Martinelli rested, Kai Havertz rested, Thomas Partey rested. Obviously, Ben White is out for a few months, as Mikel Arteta recently kind of announced. It was a rotated team, but I actually didn't really mind it. I actually kind of like the approach that Arteta gave today because it's arguably the setup that involves the most of his technically excellent players at a time as he possibly could. Jorginho, technically excellent. Gabriel Jesus, look, you can have your critics of Gabriel Jesus, especially in front of goal. And to be honest, today I didn't think it was his best game. But one thing you can say about Jesus, technically excellent. Footballing IQ, close control, good player. Saka speaks for itself. Odegaard speaks for itself. I think the only one maybe missing was Thomas Partey in terms of a guy who's like really technically brilliant. But I actually like the approach from Arsenal today. And for the first time in a while, genuinely, I got the impression they wanted to play football. Like they wanted to pick the other team apart. 500 passes if they had to, because that was the approach. I really enjoyed watching Arsenal today. And to be honest with you, as a neutral, and you might say, well, who cares what a neutral thinks? But this is just my opinion, right? It's my channel. It doesn't matter what I think because it's my channel. That's the first time I've sat down and really been enthralled by an Arsenal performance since last season. No joke. So give credit to Arteta for the setup and give credit to those players out there because I really thought they put in a hell of a performance. I thought Yuri and Timber on the right. I don't think they're going to miss Ben White. As long as Calafiori and Timber can stay fit, I think Arsenal will be absolutely fine. And dare I say it, maybe even a little better. I love watching Yuri and Timber, man. This guy physically, athletically, technically, the bursting forward that he does, the way he can invert into midfield, the way he could even play in a 3 if you wanted him to. I think Timber's an absolutely ridiculous footballer. And for all the brilliant Ajax players that are self-proclaimed brilliant Ajax players that Ten Hag brought to the club, the failure to bring in Yuri and Timber is one that I kind of look at and say, damn, I would love a player like that. Calafiori on the other end, similar. Never stops bursting forward. Can control the ball, can play football. And then this kid on the bench, Ethan Nwaneri. I'm always saying, Nwaneri, give him some more minutes, man. Every single time, Arteta seems to give him the last 10 to 15 minutes. Today, I think the game was won at 2-0, right? So maybe he gives him a little bit more. But this is, again, a player that you get him on the ball, and he's a natural footballer. He's somebody that wants to play in between the lines. He's somebody that wants to keep the ball. He wants to combine. He wants to give it and then go, and then get it back, and then score, as he did for his first Premier League goal of his career. Second youngest goal scorer in Premier League history for Arsenal, since a certain Spaniard by the name of Francesc Fabregas. Nwaneri is absolute joy to watch. Thought Sterling did really well to find him as well too. Sterling, a player we haven't seen too much of this season for Arsenal for whatever reason. Could he maybe have more of a part to play in this second half of the year? Maybe. But Nwaneri, I think, is definitely a player that he should have used a lot more in Odegaard's absence, because I think that the presence of a creative player is so evident in today's performance. And I'm not trying to say Nwaneri is the equivalent of Odegaard, but they've been missing somebody like that who can just get on the ball and make things happen. They've been giving him a few spare minutes here and there. And I understand he's 17 years old, but what better opportunity were you going to have to integrate Nwaneri in the last few weeks? Today, he's shown his class yet again. One of the most talented 17-year-olds on the planet. Brilliant, brilliant footballer. Let's see with Arsenal. At the moment, they are chasing, and they have a mountain to climb with Liverpool. Liverpool wins tomorrow, and the gap is 9 points. That's a lot. That's a lot, especially for a Liverpool team that at the moment, it's tough to really see where their next loss comes from. They're absolutely purring, and their best players are playing exactly like that. Best players. Salah, Van Dijk, Diaz, Gakpo, Gravenberch, they're balling. All Arsenal can do right now is just bide their time, win their games. This is similar to what happened last year, right? They went through that rough December patch. That's obviously happened earlier this season, but they got it together. Arteta found a solution, and the result of that was an almost faultless second half of the season. Just fell short to Manchester City. Obviously, Man City's not in the equation now, and they're going to have to hope that Liverpool are not as perfect as City were in the last 2 years. It's going to be an issue. It's going to be tough. Liverpool right now look absolutely sensational. But if Arsenal can just stay in it till the end, like they did last season, who knows? Me personally, I don't think it's realistic. But like I said, maybe everybody doubting Arsenal and maybe nobody having too much expectation for them actually suits them best. I haven't been moved by them that much, but let's maybe sit back, because the way Odegaard played today and the way Arsenal in turn played because of how Odegaard performed, maybe we got to sit back a little. Maybe keep an eye out on them, right? Liverpool for me are the favorites. If I had to pick a winner tonight, it would be Liverpool Football Club to win the league this year. But maybe just keep Arsenal in your rear side mirror. You know what I mean? Keep them in your sight. I wouldn't rule them out yet. They're on the outside looking in, but we've seen stranger things happen. I'm just saying.